Great to have you along for the ride. Thanks a lot for stopping by. Glad to have this man back. One of my senators. It's U.S. Senator Ted Cruz. Ted, how are you? Good to see you.
Pags, I'm doing terrific. Great to be with you.
Always great to have you. Kamala Harris is the border czar. You know it. She knows it. Everybody knows it. In fact, the House did a resolution about it a year after she was named the border czar. You didn't call her that. I didn't call her that. Axios did. The AP did. The left-wing media all did. Now they're all jumping off that bandwagon. Ted, I don't understand. If they fixed the border, they told us recently that it's the lower numbers than we even saw under Trump. Why wouldn't she want to be the border czar? She should want to be, shouldn't she?
Look, it is absolute shameless gaslighting. They're trying to do everything they can to run away from her record. She was, according to GovTrack, the nonpartisan site, she was the single most liberal senator in the entire U.S. Senate in 2019. You know what GovTrack did? They pulled the whole site down. They just took the page down, make it go away. On the border czar, apparently the last 4 years never occurred. She wasn't even aware there was a border. She's never met Joe Biden, to be honest. She's just, I don't know what she's been doing. In fact, I think Google just confirmed that prior to 2 weeks ago, Kamala Harris actually did not exist.
There you go.
That she just came in, she descended from a cloud. Listen, we're in the process of the corporate media spending billions of dollars trying to create, they're trying to convince the American people she is a combination of Mother Teresa, Oprah, and Gandhi. And every part of a record that is ridiculous, which is all of it, they want to erase. They're also claiming now, oh, she loves fracking now. Never mind that she explicitly promised that she wanted to ban fracking. These are not the drones you're looking for, is the answer of the corporate media.
Yeah, it is U.S. Senator Ted Cruz. Go to cruz.senate.gov. What I don't understand is she was one of the most unpopular candidates back in 2020. I thought Tulsi Gabbard ended her career, to be honest with you, on that debate stage. She called Joe Biden a racist to his face, didn't get one delegate, didn't even last to the Iowa caucus. Suddenly she's the vice president. Ted, do you know why she suddenly rose when in her own party, I think 1.9% approval rating in that primary?
Well, look, I think Joe Biden kind of trapped himself into naming her. I don't think Joe Biden particularly likes her, but she ended up as the VP. For 4 years, to be honest, she was marginalized. She had little to no influence within the White House. But now suddenly they're stuck. Joe Biden, I think Joe Biden's mental capacity is so diminished. By the way, the Democrats didn't care that the commander-in-chief is not capable of tying his own shoes. They didn't care about that at all. The only reason the Democrats abandoned Biden is the American people saw the last debate and you could no longer dispute this man is not able to be president. And so they promptly threw him overboard. And in fact, the scene, I actually tweeted out an image. I said, this is Joe Biden arriving to meet with the congressional Democrats. And it's the scene of Joe Pesci and Goodfellas walking into the bar where he thinks he's going to be a made man. And he looks around and goes, oh, no, man, no, man. And then they put a bullet in the back of his head. That's basically what the Democrats did. And then they were stuck with Kamala. And so what are they doing? They're utterly recreating her. And for the next 98 days, we're going to see a Joe Biden basement strategy. They're not going to let her talk. They're going to keep her hidden from public view. She hadn't done a single press conference since she became the presumptive nominee. She's going to read from teleprompters. And their view is she's got to get through one debate. And other than that, that they are going to have her bound and gagged so she says nothing and try to create a total deception for the voters.
Make sure you check out Verdict with Ted Cruz. It's Ted Cruz, U.S. Senator of the great state of Texas, my senator. I've got to ask you about the fact that you and I and Trump and anybody on the right would like to get rid of democracy. We are a threat to democracy, yet we've got the left who literally just told 14.5 million voters your vote doesn't count. They disenfranchised everybody. The primary winner was Joe Biden. He wasn't even primaried by anybody. Again, I think Dean Phillips has 3 delegates. That's 3 more than Kamala Harris has. So Joe Biden, as we sit today, Ted, is the presumptive nominee. Unless they're going to run another primary, which they probably should, you're not going to have the voters have any say whatsoever in who the nominee is. So how do they do this? The Constitution says individual states decide how the federal elections will go in their states, and in several states, the primary winner gets the primary win. He gets the delegates from that state.
Well, they're going to have legal challenges. The DNC rules do give them a lot of flexibility to yank a candidate off, particularly if the candidate acquiesces in this, which Biden has done. But listen, understand, almost every single thing the Democrats say they're for, they're utter hypocrites about. So for 4 years, Democrats have beat their chest and said they're defending democracy. These are the same loons that in court cases in Colorado and Illinois and Maine tried to throw Donald Trump off the ballot because nothing says defending democracy like preventing the voters from voting for your opponent. These are the same people, as you noted. There is not a single primary voter in the United States of America who voted this year for Kamala Harris as president. Zero, not even one. Yeah. And the Democrats don't care at all. They've selected her. She is anointed, and they crack the whip and everyone gets in line. And you know, look, Sigmund Freud talked about projection. I got to say that the level of Democrat projection is really off the charts.
It is U.S. Senator Ted Cruz. Did you see all the weird talk yesterday? Everybody's weird. You're weird. J.D. Vance is weird. Trump is weird. Everybody got in lockstep. As you said, they tell them what to do and they do it. It's almost as if an email goes out and says, call Biden consequential. And the next email was, say that J.D. Vance and Ted Cruz and others on the right are weird. They're really weird, unbelievably weird. They're strange. They're creepy. You had Eric Swalwell calling people weird. You had Pete Buttigieg calling people weird. So Ted, is that what it really is? I mean, they're very obvious about it. Do they just get the talking and walking papers and do it in lockstep every day?
Absolutely, yes. Look, the left, they're collectivists. They follow orders. And again, let's go back to the Freudian projection. This is a party of, at this point, open Marxists. This is a party who embraces open borders and is perfectly happy releasing murderers and child rapists to prey on the American people. This is a party who Kamala Harris gives money and raises money to bail murderers and violent criminals out of jail. This is a party that is confused as to what a woman is. This is a party that you mentioned, Pete Buttigieg, that thinks men can breastfeed. This is a party that believes that we should sterilize and castrate children, and they are looking at the rest of America and going, you people are weird. It's the same thing as Hillary Clinton's basket of deplorables. If you're actually an American, if you love this country, if you believe in the Constitution, if you believe in freedom, if you're actually married and love your children and believe in the values that built this country, to the circus freak show that is today's Democrat Party, all of us are weird if you actually believe in America.
U.S. Senator Ted Cruz, always appreciate the time and the access. Let's talk about the border specifically. The going line from the left is that the open border has enhanced the country. It has not caused higher crime. The right is lying about that. In fact, major crimes are down, violent crimes are down, and the border numbers are down. Now, Ted, you and I both know if you sign somebody up at an NGO in Guatemala, they don't count them as an illegal anymore, so the border numbers aren't down. They're just playing games with it. They're lying about who's coming here legally, who's coming here illegally. When it comes to the crime, you've got Soros DAs like Alvin Bragg and the person who just got fired in St. Louis, and the guy here in Bexar County, Texas. You've got these people who are taking felonies. And I think in Bragg's case, it's 53% of the felonies have been downgraded to misdemeanors. So they're lying about crime being lower, just like Gavin Newsom saying $950, if you steal that, it's not a felony. It's just a speeding ticket. So when they lie about it so much and the American people don't have the resources you and I have, how do you respond to that, letting people know, of course, crime isn't down. Of course, the border is still wide open.
Look, facts matter and truth matters. The media, the corporate media, is hopelessly corrupt. The Democrats are hopelessly corrupt. They engage in systematic and brazen lying. When it comes to our southern border, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris came into office. They inherited the lowest rate of illegal immigration in 45 years. I worked hand in hand with President Trump. We made enormous progress securing the border. All Biden and Harris had to do was nothing. Instead, they deliberately broke the border. They caused this crisis. We now have the highest rate of illegal immigration in the history of our country. 11.5 million people have come into this country, and Biden and Harris wanted that to happen. And look, this is what I addressed at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. The very real consequences, the people who are being murdered, the children who are being raped, the Americans who are suffering. Every damn day we see another American killed, another woman raped, another child assaulted by an illegal immigrant the Democrats have released. And whether it's Jocelyn Nungary in Houston just over a month ago, beautiful 12-year-old girl, horribly kidnapped and raped and murdered by 2 illegal immigrants from Venezuela, that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they had in their custody and they released them. Weeks later, they turn around and rape and kill that beautiful little girl. Or whether it's Rachel Marin, a beautiful mother of 5 in suburban Maryland, again, raped and murdered by an illegal immigrant that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris released. Or whether it's Laken Riley, beautiful 22-year-old woman in Georgia studying to be a nurse, again, murdered by an illegal immigrant who was in custody. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris had him in custody. They let him go, and he went to Georgia, and he beat her to death with a brick. Or whether it's Jeremy Caceres, a 2-year-old little boy in Prince George's County, Maryland, murdered by an illegal immigrant that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris released. Or whether it is in Boston, Massachusetts. You're right. They're not just letting people go that cross our southern border. Biden and Harris are affirmatively flying illegal immigrants into this country. And so in Boston, Massachusetts, they flew an illegal immigrant from Haiti to Boston. They released him in Boston, and he turned around and raped a 15-year-old girl who has severe mental disabilities.
Wow.
He was arrested for that rape, and I'll tell you, just a couple of weeks ago, a left-wing judge in Boston let him go with a $500 bail. Every damn day this is happening in San Antonio. We just had a police officer shot multiple times by an illegal immigrant released by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. This happens day after day after day, and they do not care because they keep on doing it, and they know tomorrow somebody else will get killed.
Cruz.senate.gov. I know you have to go. Maybe a yes or no answer. Do you trust this DOJ to get to the bottom of the assassination attempt?
No. I didn't even know what the end of the sentence was.
Yeah.
You got to, do you trust this DOJ? No. Merrick Garland and this Department of Justice and this FBI is the most politicized and partisan Department of Justice we have ever seen. When it comes to, number one, protecting the president, we had yesterday in the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing, we had the acting director of the Secret Service testifying. We had the deputy director of the FBI. I vigorously questioned the Secret Service. You noted my podcast, Verdict with Ted Cruz. We do it 3 days a week. Today's podcast focuses very directly on the Secret Service, on the catastrophic security failures made by the senior political leadership there. And I believe it was a partisan political decision why they did not give adequate security to Donald Trump. The acting director just stonewalled, refused to answer my questions. And by the way, the Department of Justice ought to be vigorously going after the forces that are undermining this country. We're at the highest risk of a major terrorist attack of any time since September 11th. And you look at, for example, the anti-Israel, the anti-Semitic protests on college campuses all over this country. Those are not happening organically. Those are happening because they're funded, because they're paid for. They're being paid for by, among others, Iran and Qatar. And you know what DOJ and FBI ought to be doing? They ought to be following the money. They ought to be tracking the terrorists that are funding these anti-American radicals. But under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they don't do that because they're rooting for the terrorists. They're on the side of the pro-Hamas terrorists and not on the side of Israel, not on the side of America. It really is heartbreaking, and it's more extreme than we've ever seen in Washington.
Yeah, and you couldn't be more right. It's Ted Cruz. You did a great job yesterday for Texas and for the United States. I'm glad you're on our side, Ted. Come back again soon. You've got a little more time. Verdict with Ted Cruz. Go check out that podcast. It's amazing. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Pags. Appreciate it.
All right, brother. We're back after this. Stay right here.